Welcome everybody to Falcon Plays Tharsis episode number 1. This right here is a really fun, difficult game that kind of landed on my lap. I took it out for a spin, I really enjoyed it, and I found myself dying over and over and over and over. You kind of get the idea here. But it's one of those games, however, that even though it's really difficult and it really challenges you, every single time you die, you're kind of really upset because you made some progress, but then you're kind of like, okay, let me just try it out again. The story behind it, I guess, we should probably cover over here, is that you are the very first mission to Mars. And as you are on your way to Mars, a disaster really strikes, and it basically messes up your entire journey over there. And that's where the game kind of starts taking place, where you have to kind of micromanage every single disaster that's going to be happening from that point onward. It's essentially a turn-based survival space strategy game. Let's get into the game and show you exactly what I'm talking about, though. So we'll do a new game over here. Now, when you do a new game, you have 4 classes to start off with over here. The other ones down here you will be able to unlock as you go onwards, and you have to kind of meet some requirements for it. For instance, we have Sophia Diaz over here. Eat 120 human meals. We're going to start off with the tutorial because this game, it's not really difficult to really pick it up, but I feel the tutorial is really definitely needed so you understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it itself. So we'll be doing this in normal, not hard, because Jesus Christ, the game is hard enough as it is. So we'll do view tutorial, we'll pick up our 4 only people available. Let's go into confirmation over here. Welcome! This briefing will give you an idea on how to command the crew and utilize functions on the Yippee. The journey is about halfway over, but it's still useful to have a refresher course. Your ultimate goal? Reach Mars. Ship view. The Yippee has a staff of 6, however, the rest of the crew are busy right now. The ship itself consists of 8 modules, each with its own use, and the modules will be these guys over here, and they all have different type of, abilities that will help you out as you progress forward. Alrighty, the ship. The integrity of your ship is going to be noted over here. The red marks indicate the amount of damage the events will do. So right now we have an impending damage of 1 based on this little tank inspection that's going on over here. Mind you, this right here is all predetermined because it's a tutorial. Food. Food keeps crew active by replenishing their dice. So basically after every single turn, people will start getting tired, especially if you don't feed them. So you definitely have to produce food, whether you grow your food or you end up going down the cannibalistic route. Mind you, the cannibalistic route does have a negative perk to it, but we'll cover that later on. You do have to give them food, and that's going to be a way for you to be able to replenish your dice. And as I mentioned, the game is very RNG based, but the RNG is done through a dice roll, which you can actually see and use. As a matter of fact, the entire game is going to be based on this whole dice system. Dice. This shows how many dice a crew member rolls on their turn. Their available dice decreases by 1 each time that crew member is used. So right now we have J Cross over here with 4 dice initially to start off his turn. But every single time you use him for a turn, he will drop 1 down by 1, which is when you have to feed him. He's also a botanist as well, so everybody has their own class that kind of excels at something and will essentially buff the rest of your members as you could go forward here. Reducing the repair value to 0 will remove the event, otherwise the damage will be applied each turn. This is going to tell you the repair is needed, meaning you have to roll enough dice and enough numbers to actually meet the 1 over here, which is a relatively small one to actually go through. Hazards will be number 3. This means that every single time you roll 3, there might be a hazard involved with that, and you'll see that pretty soon as well. And the end of turn damage will be 1 for the event. So this right here will tell you, like, if we don't clear out this event before our turn ends completely, we will take 1 damage to our ship over here. Select a crew member first and then click directly on a module. Choose to deploy the confirmed movement. Everyone else is busy at the moment, so send J Cross to the pantry where the event is located. So right now we're going to be picking up J Cross over here, who happens to be our botanist, and we need to clear out this event over here so we don't take any damage at the end of the turn. So we'll go into tank inspection, deploy this out. Alright, so right now we have the benzene tank inspection. A pressure fluctuation has been detected in the pantry. We're checking as long-term exposure to benzene or C6H6 can lead to immunotoxicity and eventually leukemia. Probably not a good thing for anybody involved in it. This is where you specifically direct the crew and get work done. Dice can be used to help the ship and crew. Dice can be rolled again, but rerolls are limited. So some classes will have a significant amount of rerolls while some don't. So right now, what we want to do is start off with a roll right now with J Cross over here. So let's go ahead and roll this out. Alright, so it's interesting to note what happened with the number 3 right there. You saw that assist that popped up. The stasis over here is telling you what the hazard is. So right now, let's see. These represent dangers to the crew if any dice match the indicated numbers. if it's going to be an orange type of look to the dice itself, you will take injury. So if you roll, say, a 3, and it's actually orange, you will take 1 damage of health to your character. Stasis, the blue one, which is the one that we just experienced right now, the rolled die is stuck and cannot be re-rolled. So if I didn't have any assist right now, that would have been frozen and we could not re-roll that again. We'd have to use that for any other thing that we want to use over here. And then the purple ones are void, which are the worst ones. The die is lost completely. So with stasis, you can still use this for any sort of other thing you want to use it for here. But if you get a purple event, then you basically lose that die for that turn completely. You can't even use it whatsoever. And the assists are going to be able to help you to counteract that measure. So depending on how many assists you have already here set up, it will tell you, like, if you have like 1, which right now we rolled a 3, it basically negated that stasis. But if I had, say, 2 3s, it would have negated the first one, but the second one would have been frozen in place. Alright, so we're done over here. Right now what we want to do is actually either re-roll or start fixing the issue over here. So what we're going to be doing right now is actually fixing the error. So right now we have to give this right here an amount of 1 in dice to get this issue repaired completely so it doesn't affect us next turn over. So I'm going to go ahead and use the 1 over on this guy. What do you mean no? Oh, you want me to hit OK first? Alrighty. I guess I'm jumping ahead. Events are completed when the repair value is reduced to 0, thus preventing harm to the ship or crew. Am I good to go now, game? There we go. Event complete. Class ability. Place a die into this slot to activate the effect immediately. Dice must follow the rules indicated to be used. So for instance, right now, the botanist, if I was to give him the amount of 1 or more in terms of a die roll, I would get +1 food to our inventory over here, which is actually pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and use 2. There you go. As you can see, our food went up from 1 over to 2. Module ability. All modules have different capabilities that keep the ship running in good condition. Place dice here that match the requirements. So for instance, each module, as I mentioned, will have a different type of ability that will buff your party completely, or your crew. And if we meet that requirement, we'll be able to get whatever that module, gives you up. So for instance, right now, since we're in the pantry, we will actually gain 1 food if we give this area either a 1 or above. And this will give you, really, earn 4 of them. Each slot indicates how much of that ability you will gain. So since all we need to do really is give it a 1 or more, we'll just go with 3. And there you go. As you can see, our food is now completely filled up. This event is now complete, meaning next turn over, the damage that was impending is no longer an issue anymore. Now, the research projects over here are going to be really useful, and you're going to be needing these guys a lot. Each die placed here gains a research point to spend on projects. So, right now we have a 5, right? If I go over here and place the 5 over here, we'll get a 1 point. And then, if we get enough of these dice over here filled up, we'll be able to use these little quick abilities right here on the fly. So for instance, if snack was a 1 and we have a 1, we could go ahead and use that right now, which would be +1 die for 1 crew member. And we could also go ahead and shuffle if you don't like the cards that you have over here set up. Alrighty. When you are done working, press the button to return to the ship's view, and that's going to be just about it. Okay. And this is where the game basically kicks off.
We had prepared for any disaster, for every disaster. Not all of them at once. We can't turn back, but how can we go on?
Alright, this right here is where the game essentially takes place after the tutorial little lesson itself. And this is right here is going to be an actual run that we're going to be trying to attempt over here. A cluster of micrometeoroids have crippled the Ectomy and killed 2 crew. J. Cross has been ejected into space, and Mapia Musgrab suffered a fatal injury. Your new goal is to survive. Alrighty, so remember that we sent J. Cross over to the pantry, so I like how the tutorial actually ties into how an initial startup to the game would take place. So right now we have 4 people left over of the initial 6 from the tutorial, and this is where the game would initially take off. And we have 2 events that we have to take care of right now. We have over here in the, let's see, ship information, this is going to be the maintenance area. With this maintenance area, you could basically repair damage to your ship over time if you go ahead and meet the module requirements, much like we did with the pantry. Medical bay will be to help recovery for your people. Life support will be to regain dice, and laboratory, increase assistance, reduce stress down here, harvest food, and no movement damage. What this means over here, by the way, is if there is an event over here, and you don't necessarily want to have, let's say there was an event over here, for instance, right? And you have Jean Aloe over here. But you want Gina Lowy to work on an event down here. If you walk through this area, you will take 1 damage from the event happening over here. So if you go ahead and activate this module, Gina Lowy will be able to pass by without taking any damage to her health. So again, everything has a really good use to it. But right now we have 2 events. Doctor is the one that's actually kind of close over here, Kayla Jones, to the dice -1. So right now we have 2 events happening. This one right here is going to actually cause damage to our ship. Right now we're at 3 health, so 2 is going to kind of put us in a really bad spot, so we have to clear that one up easily. This one down here is not going to be for actual damage, but it will actually give -1 dice to everybody if you don't clear this event out by the end of this turn. So right now I think we want to start off with maybe clearing out. Specialist has 2 dice, Captain has 4, Mechanic has 2, Doctor has 3. By the way, all these dice that you start off with in the health is going to be randomized every single time. So you might have a better event, you might have a worse event. You know, it's all random when you first start off over here. So what I'm thinking we do is we use Doctor. 3 dice, right? Technically, you'd imagine that you should be able to hit 12 points of dice rolls, at least 12 overall damage, if you use somebody with 3 dice, right? However, the only problem here is that this has a stasis of 1 and 3, and we only have 1 assist. So assuming if we roll a 1 or a 3, that's going to be frozen, but then the ones afterwards are going to be frozen for good, because we won't have the assist anymore to back us up. So let's start off with Kayla Jones down to this one here to begin with. So Kayla Jones, come down over here, and we'll deploy you over on this side. Now remember, she's a doctor, so if I had anybody else in the module along with me, and I was to meet her class requirement skill, by giving her a 5 die or higher, she would basically regain 1 health herself, and whoever else happens to be in the module area itself. To show that off though, let me go over to Captain and jump over here. We're not going to do anything over here because there's no issue, but to give you an idea, since we have 2 people in this module, the other one is going to be inactive, and any sort of buff that you do with this person over here will sometimes benefit the person also in the module area itself. But our first concern is going to be down over on this side, so we'll use Kayla Jones down over here. So right now we have the cargo mapper is unresponsive. Without the maintenance cargo location map, it is now harder to find a number 8 hex wrench that can patch a hole in the ship. All the stuff over here is going to be mostly just flavor text, but it's kind of sometimes amusing. Like right now there are issues that we can't find a number 8 hex wrench. And the game is really dark, but it has kind of like a little bit of a silly undertone to it as well. So right now, we're going to go ahead and start off with a roll. Remember, if we roll a 1 or a 3, we are going to have to trigger the assist over here automatically, by the way. So let's roll over here and see what we happens. Okay. Oh, no 1 or 3. Good. So again, this is what I mentioned about RNG being visible to you, because normally RNG is kind of like a randomized thing that happens in the background of the game. You never see it. Over here, you actually do see it because you're the one rolling dice, and based on the numbers that show up, will either help you or go against you. So our concern right now is to get up to 12 repairs. I have 1 reroll remaining. Now here's an interesting subject as well. If for instance I like this 5 for maybe a module, or maybe for a research project, I could hold on to this die over here and reroll these bad boys again. And as a matter of fact, since I'm planning to use number 5 on the repair, these number 2s are really low. I'm going to reroll them again, so hopefully we get a higher number to repair this completely. But again, the problem here is that if I reroll and we roll a 1 or a 3, we'll trigger the stasis as well. So it's kind of like a risk management type of situation as well. So I will go ahead right now and just reroll those 2 bad boys here. Oh, I saw that 3 there. Oh, there he goes. Luckily, we had 1 assist left over, so it was able to freeze that up. But as you can see now, we can no longer cover up any sort of stasis in the future for this turn anyway. But we have enough now. As you can see, 12 is our overall score over here. We have enough to repair this completely, which is actually great. So we'll toss this over here. Toss this down here, and there you go. Event complete. Now, early on, I'm going to tell you right now, you want to make sure that you're always on top of these things. If you let these things stack until the next turn, mind you, if for instance right now we went after this one and we were not able to get up to 23 die rolls in terms of the overall score, this event's going to last for the next turn over. So not only will it give you damage right now, but it'll be around for the next turn where more events will actually be happening. So you don't necessarily want to get overwhelmed, because if you do, you will start struggling really, really early on. So right now we have to roll up to 23. I guess the captain will probably be the best bet over here with 4 die to make that happen. And the stasis we're looking at here is 2 and 3. So we gotta not roll 2 or 3, so we're basically stuck with those. So we use captain over here to meteor strike, I'm gonna say. Yeah. Now the captain has a little ability herself. She will give +1 die to the crew in the module area over here. So potentially Well, it's not going to work out now because if we move people over here to just kind of camp out and have her activate her ability, they already had their move over here, so it's not going to really work out. But we could do also start off with the specialist. Now, she only has a +1 reroll for herself, so she doesn't have any ability that kind of buffs everybody else. So right now we're going to come over here instead with the Allison Silva, the specialist. And she, as you can see, has 3 rerolls because everybody else has 2, but her ability gives her 1 extra 1. So we have to go up to 23. Alright, let's start this off right now. Got a 5 and a 3, so we have a stasis already. And we have no assist to block it off, so this right here is basically stuck. I can now use this to repair. I could use this over here for the research project as well. So it's basically up to us. But since we're looking at up to 23 repair damage over here, I think we go ahead and just accept the 5 and maybe even throw in 3 over here. And let's see, what are our cards looking at here? If we have up to 4, we'll have +1 die for all crew that we can use on the fly. Choice Harvest will be +1 food, and then Duct Tape will be 3 repair, 1 module. This right here, what this means is if you activate this card, down here you will be able to actually use it on the fly to instantly repair 3 damage from this event completely. So these cards down here are going to be really useful, and honestly, they're going to be what either wins the game for you or loses it for you, because you can use these on the fly, so keep those in mind as well. So since we're done over here, we'll finish our deployment. We have 2 people left over. So 15 is what we're looking at here. I feel rather confident that the captain might be able to pull this one off, so let's send her down over on this side. And she only has 2 rolls, as you can see. Alrighty. 15 is what we're looking at, right? Let's go ahead and roll. And unfortunately for us, we have another stasis right there to our name. So we have now frozen 2 and 3, which is going to be a bit of a problem here. As you can see right now, we have up to 11, so we cannot completely repair this. What we could do is actually just pump all these in here, and maybe follow it up with the mechanic, and that would probably clear it out. The only problem is I would like to use the mechanic for possibly getting some food in our backup over here, so we have enough food to revitalize everybody's complete die count next turn over. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to hit the 5 over here. That's a good number. I guess we have really no choice but to just dump this over here and this over here. We're looking for a 5. So I'm going to re-roll this one here again and hopefully hope for a 5 or a 6 and clear that up. Otherwise, come on. Oh, yeah, baby. And we have cleared this event completely. Now what's cool about this is now we have a free turn over here with the mechanic to do whatever we please. Unfortunately, he only has 2 dice to roll, so it might be a bit more difficult to trigger a positive event over here. Now, let's look at this here clearly. I would like more food. The only problem with food is that you have to match 2 dice, up to 3 as a matter of fact, but the same number over and over. So it'd have to be a 1 and a 1, 2 and a 2. So I have to get really lucky for that one. We could also just go for the assist, which we've seen how important those are to negate stasis, injury, and void down the line as well. Now, the mechanic does also have an innate ability to heal the ship. His special ability would be to heal the ship by 1 as well, so that's another possibility that we might be able to look at here as well. But you know what? Let's go into harvest food right now. And I think because I'm going to do that because I'm going to try to either get lucky or show you a different type of ability here that we might be able to work with as well. So, man, do I really want this one? I don't think I'm going to do it, though. That's the problem. No, you know what? Let's go with the assist. That one's going to be a lot easier. All we have to do for the assist is get a 5 or higher, so we'll come up here instead. Pakal, down up here, my friend. Alrighty. Just go ahead and roll. Cool, I saw a 6 there momentarily. Okay, we got a 1 and a 3. Obviously not what we're looking for. And by the way, if we get 2 5s or 2 6s, or a combination of those guys, we might be able to do a +1 to the ship, and also do the increased assist, so we will re-roll one more time. If we don't land any of these, ooh, okay. So now we have an option here. Do we want to go ahead and restore the ship's hull by 1, or do you want to get the assist? I'm going to go with the assist on this one. Now we have 3, so we have 3 get out of jail free cards, essentially. And then down over here with 3, we will come and put this down into research projects, and we have 1 point now over here set up. And again, any extra leftover die that you have nothing else to do with, just toss down here if it does fit. So now we have 1 point. As a matter of fact, we could even activate duct tape if I really wanted to. The only problem is that there is no damage over here, so it'd be kind of pointless. But this will be able to carry off. So we'll finish our deployment over here. And because we cleared everything up, no damage.
Turning sour, the crew's and my own. But if I can't lead them, we're all dead. I need to get it together.
So that's the main part of the game. After every single turn, you're going to be faced with a few choices over here. Choose a side project to perform, but be aware it may have negative consequences. The severity of the choices are influenced by the stress of the crew, so keep them mentally healthy. So if their stress levels are really low, they'll probably give you pretty decent choices to choose from. If their stress levels are high, they will all have different type of suggestions, but some of them might be really, really terrible for you and for the crew in general. But again, it's going to be all dictated on your stress levels as well. So right now, our stress levels are kind of like, a little bit below halfway, which is indicated by this bar over here on the side. So right now we have Alison Silva and Jean Aloe. John, it's, that Jean name is always really iffy depending on where you say it, who says it, what their background might be. For this one, if we activate the suppression system, we can get anywhere without a problem. It would work. It would help everyone to do better work. So what this is going to do is next turn we will have no movement damage between injured modules. But it's going to also go ahead and give them -1 dice. And that's going to be pretty bad because they're already pretty low. So we might want to skip that one. This one would have been good, albeit it would hit them with stress. But the problem is it'll give us 2 assists, but we already have 3 assists set up because of the roll that we had with our boy over there. So this one pains me a lot to actually start off with. But I guess I'm going to go ahead and do the stress one, just because the -1 die is going to be really, really hurtful. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one. It's going to be pointless for us, unfortunately, because we already have 3 assists, but whatever. When the pantry was destroyed, we lost most of our packaged rations. Additionally, food can be produced in a greenhouse, but only in small batches. Carefully dole out the limited supplies to those in need. And if I'm right, we only have 1 food right now. And every time we use this on somebody, it'll restore 3 dice. So obviously, food's gonna be really important to keep their energy, i.e. their dice, high up. So we have to go with Alison Silva or Pakal Lavrin over here. No question about it. And I feel that Pakal might be a bit more important to us because of the ship +1 ability that he might have over here. We could also go with Kayla Jones and just max her out for a while. Doctor could be pretty useful as well. I'm gonna go with Pakal though. And Alison Silva's going to be kind of like our thorn in our side here going forward because she only has 1 die. So we have to try to get some food happening for next turn. So we will finish right here. And this right here is going to actually initiate the next set of events. And it's going to be up here, as you can see, 9 weeks to Mars. So your ultimate goal here is to survive long enough to get to Mars and uncover the story. And there's a really good story behind this game too that is based after every single turn that you either survive. I'm going to say don't survive, but if you don't survive, it's basically game over. But if you survive all the way to Mars, you will uncover the story. And let me tell you, the story is actually, I've gotten up to like week 4 from Mars before croaking, and the story is actually pretty interesting indeed. But we're going to wrap it up here for today. I will come back next episode over. We'll continue going forward here a bit more. If you guys like what you see, definitely go ahead and leave a thumbs up and a like. The support does mean a lot. And if you want to see more of this beyond what I'm planning to record here today, let me know, and I will keep this around as a little bit of a mini-series. Really, really fun game. We've only touched the surface of it right now. But now that we got all the information out there, we can just kind of play a bit more free and easy and not take too long in a sense. But I did want to take some time to explain the game for you because it's not complicated, but you kind of want to know what you're doing with each dice roll and whatnot. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will catch you next time.